How's it going, guys? It's Najam and welcome to my review of this cheap MP3 player from eBay. Previously I reviewed a similar MP3 player that had a really crap battery life, and I think this one is great. It has a 1-inch 2-color LCD display on the left side, which is really sharp. You have your main buttons, and these are the only buttons besides the power switch next to the display. Unlike the previous MP3 player, this has a speaker on the back, which is obviously not the best, and it also has a handy LED flash. It's charged via a mini USB port on the right side and has a standard 3.5mm headphone jack as the only option for listening to music. This MP3 player, unlike the previous one, doesn't have an FM radio and has less options in the settings menu. I've tested it with a 64GB memory card and it works perfectly fine, even though it says it only supports up to 16GB. The long plastic clip on the back is flimsy and very flexible, but it works fine and does the job. This is a thick MP3 player by the looks of it, but it's small, so not really much of a deal, and also since you can clip it to your clothes, you don't have to put it in your pocket. The menus are very simple, but the controls take a little bit of getting used to because it doesn't come with a manual. M is enter, vol is obviously to change the volume level, and by the way this has 30 levels of volume and can easily push 100 ohm headphones, but I haven't really tried them with the 100 ohm. The fast forward and backward buttons are used to skip through your music library, and if you hold them it fast forward the timeline. The middle button is used to pause and play the music files. If you go back to change your settings, it stops playing the music. You have to keep the music app open to listen to music, which is a bit annoying. It doesn't have all the fancy bits and bobs like the album art, a file manager or different themes. In fact, it's really simple, and for about £3 this is an amazing deal. You still can't shuffle the music library, which is a bit of a letdown, but it's £3 and it's gonna make sense. Let's just continue with the review. Let's talk about sound quality. Comparing to a typical smartphone, it's better in every way other than the fact that it's not clean. There's always a hiss in the background, but you won't notice it when listening to music. It may sound better, but it's not by a mile, and you can only tell the difference between a smartphone and this MP3 player if you compare them side by side. There's a little improvement in soundstage and detail, but you can barely make out for it, so there's no point saying there is an improvement. The bass is more punchy and has a little bit of a warm feeling to it, which is nice, whereas the instruments are not wildly spread out. The battery life is fine and you get around half a day on a full charge, and it takes just around an hour to charge it full. Anyways, I highly recommend this MP3 player if you're looking for a really cheap MP3 player, but I will warn you, it only plays MP3 files and WMA files, so no FLAC or nothing fancy. You can't even convert your Apple Music into this thing, and yeah, it's not gonna play them. All in all, I mean, it's for £3. Instead of buying a £50 phone or something, you know, it's really cheap, but instead of buying that, you can buy this thing and you can put 64GB of memory card in it, and you can play all your MP3 files, which is really nice. Of course there's a hiss on the back, but if you use a really heavy to drive headphones, I don't think you're gonna hear that because you're gonna have to crank the volume up, and you should be able to push them just fine. But anyways, for £3, honestly there's nothing you can do with it. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again in another video.